My diary.
What's the next? You don't need to also switch another person.
Just say this is
Not just one. It's my phone that I need that I need it.
I join.
We are here this evening, courtesy of this lovely woman to my side. She would
Is a doing the beginning.
I'm sure in that love that's unfortunately the chair is
It's time. On your video and speak. Come, don't go. Improve. No problem.
Are you switching?
Don't switch.
But yeah, I want you to switch from that one to the end.
Okay.
Or you can switch first point out.
Recording in progress.
You don't need to reduce one. Put on your camera. Let me see. You can go.
Wow, dang, bang me dead.
She's one of those she's colorblind and supported their needs and on personal basis is being very supportive.
Okay, Mama.
So basically, you got it and you got it about it. So if you all put our hands together for the year, Thanks very much, everyone. Tonight, we've got other people that are joining us here. So I'll quickly call this up there. One of my favorite community sisters in the room, who is going to be joining us here, Jennifer Baseki of Baseki Solicitor. Also, we have the person made today possible for us, the director of Africa, Olada Kawusa. We pray. Also, we mentioned, I'm not too sure if Professor Chris Mafidon is by security, but he's not in the room. I'm not saying him in the room. He's going to be joining us shortly as well. So without further ado, can I
and also like, particularly to the level of Hannah Convener and executive director of this city highlight. And happy, we're very proud of the heritage that we represent, particularly Black history. We represent, we probably celebrate Black history and culture all year round. It's something that's just defined to 1 month of the year. And there's been an awful lot of recently focused on Windrush, but also every day celebration of culture and contribution that community development workers in Africa contribute to our borough. And of course, we know that people were arriving from the continent largely in the 80s and much more recently as well. I like to say I represent West Africa, West Africa, representing two, but I have a very significant. I can see that there's a bus stop down by Kingsley Estates. There's an election going on in Nigeria, or something big happening now. I've more conversations about that recently, and I would about what's going on in British politics. In 1991, in our borough, actually 67% of the population identified themselves as Black British or African, but that rose to 11.4% in 2011, and it's now higher still. And around 40% of the population come from Black minority ethnic groups, and the larger group is, of course, Black. So it's important that we just lay those facts out, really, because sometimes when people talk to you about my own constituency, they tell me a bit about Shoreditch, and Shoreditch trends a bit still. And I point out some of the reality of and of course, the borough is also very key with 1 or 2 children living in poverty. But when I talk about my borough, I always think about aspiration, because people say it's great, and I point out it's very important. I also point out there's no quality of aspiration. And one of the most aspirational, different aspirational groups in the African people from the African continent, African countries in Africa, are very, very aspirant for themselves and their children. And not least, of course, African students who come to study overseas with the hope that they can benefit from the British education system. But as some of the research shows, and I won't go into that because I know others will be speaking about that, prejudice and discrimination is still very present for Black African students who encounter many negative perceptions about African cultures. And I always sort of say, and it's so true when people sometimes think Africa is a country or a continent, and you still get those sort of very, very basic prejudices, people who make rude and unnecessary comments, not understanding the impact that they're having on people who are coming, contributing to UK, and financial hardship is an issue. I know years ago I was an immigration minister in the Labour government, and there was a move which actually unfortunately got through to encourage centres for getting visas. So you have to travel a long way to get a visa. But I know that many of my African constituents, so students, will have will be a collection of money from the community to help fund people to come to the UK. And so that informal sponsorship has been hard to get through the British immigration system sometimes. And so it's important. So I've obviously spent some of my time as a constituency MP arguing with people's family members to come through on the student route. But of course, many students don't have family in the UK, so it's very hard to argue against the immigration system and prove your point when you don't have anybody who's got a footprint in the country in question. And so it's a really bad barrier that we set up for a group of people who come and work hard and contribute massively, both as students and as well as I know that in the research, a lot of students want to have the opportunity to work more than 20 hours a week. And I think that that's perfectly a very good ask as well, and something that would enable students from Africa and other countries indeed to support themselves much more easily, especially in expensive cities like London. And especially with students often having to contribute money back home to pay back the money that they've been lent and studying in the UK. And housing is a huge issue. We've had this government that we're living under at the moment has made it much more difficult to rent. You have to prove your identity and your nationality and your right to stay. And although it's officially not allowed for landlords to discriminate, actually you can see that if the current climate, when a lot of people are competing for rented housing, you can see that it would be very easy for a landlord to discriminate against somebody because of their name, their accent, or just because they've got a visa that they don't understand. and you have to, and so this is a real problem. And that fierce competition, even flat shares, is an issue because of the fines the government puts in place. It decided it was going to create a hostile environment, and believe me, it has. You see that in the caseload every day. And it's, as I say, again, hard for students. If you don't know your way around the British system when you arrive, you might take you a while to find your MP, compared with people who have been born and brought up in the country. And I think that there's a real concern. And East London universities have been very clear that there's been a higher numbers of homeless students last year than have been for some years, partly because rents are going up, so that competition, the rents are going up, and the competition for housing places is going up considerably. So you have to have an awful lot of money to be a student in the UK. So that goes back to the point about allowing students to work more, as long as they're studying. And I know plenty of people who study and work a full-time job, and people will do that. They've got the aspiration and the ambition. Plenty of people do both very effectively. And as I say, the Home Office is a big problem. There's been obviously a big focus in the UK on people coming over across the English Channel on boats. And of course, no one wants people to drown in the English Channel, so it's those people get supported and dealt with through the immigration system and asylum system as quickly as possible. I've got many families living in hotels waiting for their case to be dealt with. I don't want that to continue. But what's happened is the Prime Minister's made a pledge to resolve the waiting time for those people. But that has meant there are more delays for people coming through other routes, so spouses, student visas, and those backlogs are not getting any lower. So it makes it, I do get tragic cases of people missing the beginning of term, and if you miss too much, you then complete your degree. That messes up your financing, messes up your visa application. So a delay is almost as bad as a refusal in some respects, because it just knocks your whole academic year and opportunities out of there. And add to that, the Home Secretary has put limits on overseas students bringing family to the UK, and that does particularly affect African international students. Nigerian students had the highest number of dependents of student visa holders in 2022, with that's just over nearly 61,000. So, it is not unusual for a family to travel together, but the Home Secretary has made it sound like some sort of crime, and it's partly because she wants to reduce the total number of people coming into this country. So it's an easy thing to target students. That said, there's tension in the government because other parts of the government want to welcome foreign students who bring money and actually eventually expertise who stay in and work. That's useful expertise that we desperately need as well. So the government is very split, and if my party gets elected, we will really try and resolve that issue and make sure that we are far more welcoming and have a clear message from government about the importance and value that foreign students bring to our universities. And I'm very proud. I probably represent more universities than almost anyone else, because I've now got I think 3 at the Olympic Park, and a footprint with East London University. So I have whole schools set up just for international students to do postgraduate degrees. So the university sector are welcome to. Unfortunately, the government's not making it easy for them, and that's a real problem. So that's one of the reasons we're here tonight, really, to talk about the challenges facing African international students in the UK. And it's great that AfriDAC has been taking this up. And I'm really pleased to be here. I will be diving in and out for votes, but I should be here for the discussion. Hopefully, I don't know when the votes will go for, but I hope I'll be back at least in time for the discussion at the end, because what you share with me, as people share with me their experiences with these steps, is what helps really shape what I do here. And when, just as an example, there was a few years ago, or it's been going on for a long time, but it was discovered that the Home Office had outsourced English language tests for students before they could come and study in the UK, or they could do it. They had to do it in different places around the world. Some did the test in the UK, and there was fraud in that test. So there was genuinely some fraud, but many people who were innocent were caught up in that. And my committee did an inquiry into that, which was an MP in East London, actually wasn't needed, but picked up the case particularly. He raised it with our National Audit Office. They looked into it and challenged the Home Office on that issue. So all the experiences we hear do lead to action. It may not always be instant, it's not always quick, but it does help. And working with people like Jennifer, who sees this through the legal route, we can build up cases to change the law. And by goodness, we do need to change the law on immigration in this country. I would stress on that though, nothing happens quickly. If there is a change of government at the next election, and we don't know when that will be, you don't click the fingers and it happens overnight. So it will take some time to unpick. And we can't spend our life unpicking everything the previous government's done. We'll just be bringing nothing new. So there will be a challenge. Don't expect these to be quickly, but you will not find a hostile environment under a Labour government. We've been moving away from that to welcome people who contribute to our country. So thank you.
Thanks very much, as I mentioned earlier. The Nigeria is a very experienced parliamentarian and have experience in government. Still, the Labour Party is not in government today, but as she said, we are looking forward to a change of government next year, and that is saying you will not see an hostile environment with the Labour Party government. So without campaigning, make sure you go out there and encourage people to support Labour Party wherever you live. We started the event because we were not too sure when the bell will ring for Meg to go and vote. So that was why Meg started with her speech. So before we go on, we're now going to go back to the first agenda item, which is the director of Africa, Olata Wilson Kano, welcoming today and laying the foundation for what we expect today. Before then, I think I was going to call two other people, but one of them just sleeping. Can I just welcome Professor Chris Imafidon? Thank you for being here. Also, can I call to join Janet Morangi? Janet is the chair of the Community African Network. Thank you, Janet. So, getting, as I said, Oladapo is the Executive Director of the African Development and Advocacy Center, Africa in Hackney. He has extensive experience as a speaker, a trainer, mentor, project manager, and community mobilizer. We are here today because of the amount of work he's put into making sure there is an advocacy, not just for international students or for other areas of African communities in Hackney and in London and UK as a whole. So it's highly experienced in terms of managing projects, and he has particularly good understanding of the complex ethno-religious cultural nuances within the Black and African community. Can we please put our hands together to welcome Oladapo?
Thank you, that's Thomas. And thank you, MP, for putting this out. We are currently Dame Meg Ilya. And thank you to our speakers, and I'm sure we're going to be hearing from them soon. Thank you all for coming here today, this evening. I know it's a lot of sacrifice for you to take time out on a Wednesday to come here today. Why are we here? We are here because there is an issue that affects the African international students in the UK. Or sincerely, David Meg has stole my thunder. She said everything I want to say. So actually, I'm now stuck. I don't know what to say. But why did we gather here today? We are gathered here today because many students contacted us over the last few months, and they were concerned about the issues affecting them. And as an advocacy organization, they were asking us, what can we do to support them? And what did we do as an organization? We wanted to have facts because as a researcher, we need to be sure that whatever issue we want to deal with, that we have the information about it. So we conducted a research, and today we'll have that opportunity for you to be able to get the outcome of that research. It's still even an ongoing research. So we are gathered here today to hear from experts. We have Jennifer Baseki, who has been in the legal profession for many years. We have Professor Lafina, which actually doesn't need any introduction, and we're going to introduce him soon. So we are here to talk about these issues affecting students, and to see as an organization and as a collective, as a Black community, what we can do. And I'm really happy that the MP has actually hit all the high notes in terms of she being able to go back to key policymakers about the outcome of the debate that we're going to have here today. We started a bit late, so I'm not going to give you any long speeches. I'm going to end here, and thank you so much for making the time to be here today. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. We're now going to, please, can I just say, if you're taking photos in the room, can you please do it quietly and don't distract with it? There's a lot of movement that is distracting what we are doing. Thank you. I'll now move to the next agenda item, which is a drama sketch by ACD Arts. Are we ready? Can we keep hiding there? Can we give them another round of applause? We have enough space here for you.
To use here or there? There.
Oh,
This one. There are two.
it's not that.
Oh, this one.
No, that one. Is he on now? Stay, sit down. Or do you need two mics? There's another one.
We're ACD Arts, and today we're going to be doing a poetry dramatic sketch, hopefully, of your story. In this melting pot of colours and trees, cultures entwined, and identities too. From distant lands, we've all come here. A vibrant mosaic, beautifully clear. Languages blend in a harmonious sound. In this new world, together we're bound. Traditions and flavors, a rich array, enrich our lives in every way. From samosas to tacos, and tea to wine, in this fusion of tastes, we all dine. Our diversity, our greatest pleasure. In unity, we find our shared pleasure. In this classroom, faces so diverse, languages and stories in each verse. From different lands, what we all a melting pot where we all become one. We share our cultures, foods, and songs, learning from each other all day long. In unity, we find our strength, embracing differences to extend. Through friendship schools, lessons learned, in this classroom, respect is learned. As students together, we truly see the beauty of our diversity. This poem with poetry sketch was to show how international students or immigration is the beauty, this melting pot, the beauty of our differences, the beauty we bring here. However, international students are faced with challenges and differences in their daily lives. But the thing that needs to happen is we need to embrace that melting pot and embrace the differences that they bring to us, and embrace the cultures, the foods, the things they add to us, and kind of do it together and have fun together and just learn from each other. So thank you.
Thanks very much. That was good. Thank you. I'm very for speaking to us. Thank you. Now moving on to the next agenda item, and that is the presentation earlier on Oladapo mentioned the research that AFIDA have done. So this is now time for the presentation of that research and the opportunity for people here tonight to ask questions. And I just hand over to actually is not that like researchers it is Akeola Adeboye. Can I just ask you to give him a round of applause? And just give him a big period how dedicated, committed he is. Well done and thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Great pleasure, I'm here to present to you the goal why we are here. I'm here to present to you the PowerPoint presentation made for this advocacy. Like it's been said, Africa Black organizations inspiring the African and Afro-Caribbean community with issues that disproportionately affect us. So, why are we here? Over the past few months, we've had cases of students, international students from Africa coming to Africa, seeking support on issues that affect them. And we as an organization mandated with the goals of supporting the community, we delve into the research, get facts on these issues, just so we could advocate here. So it will be interesting to know that some interesting statistics exist as regards African international students in the UK. As of 2017-2018 academic year, we have 27,815 of all international students coming from African origin, and of which this number makes an aggregate of 1 in every 16 international students to be of African origin. And over the past few years, within 2020 and 2021 academic session, there was actually an increment from this number to what we have here. As of 2020-2021, over 13% was seen in terms of postgraduate level enrollment in the UK of African origin, to tell you how much of people that comes into the UK to study. And out of these numbers, 21,305 are from Nigeria. And in the last academic session, which the UK has actually documented in many literature, that has been a powerful number of the influx of Africans coming into the UK, because we are good people that love to study and love capacity building. So international students as of 2022-2023 comes to the number of 679, now there are 70,000. And out of this number, 63,320 out of them are from Africa. And of these numbers from Africa, Nigerians make the whooping percentage of 65% of this number, making Nigeria the 12th country after China, India, of the highest number of international students currently in the UK. And an SBM research in 2003 makes it known to us that over £1.9 billion has been contributed by Nigerians and their dependents to the UK economy. To further explain what has been observed, we did some little test research and we found some interesting things that have actually been said by others. We noticed that fear policy, worry, financial issues are all being documented as some of the elements of studying in the UK as an international student. Other study has reported academic pressure, cultural differences, isolation, and different sort of discrimination from marginalization. And a study from Saul et al. 2022 mentioned that African international students are going through a lot in terms of mental health, and this has to be addressed. So we then embarked on a survey to validate some of this claim from the research. So we did a survey which was sent out to students across universities in the UK, which I believe many of us that are here, national students, participated in the survey. And these were some of the interesting outcomes from the survey. From our respondents, we have over 59.6% of them to be female. We have 39.4% of them to be male. We started this survey between this period of June and concluded October 1st, 2023. These are the different countries of the various correspondents. We have people from Nigeria, Ethiopia, Ghana, Guinea-Bissau, and Uganda. These are all the universities in the UK where responded and participated, and of which many of them are studying for postgraduate. That's the 90%, and 10% of them are studying for undergraduate degrees. So, one of the questions that were asked, we found out that if they actually received any sort of support, either from their school or from their government during the course of the study, many of them actually answered no. That is the 82%. This shows how African international students are suffering why they have to be doing everything on their own. And of the few that I mentioned here, that is the 80%, they claim to have gotten the support as a result of financial aid, as a form of financial aid, scholarship, shopping voucher, free food items, and instrumental payment. Another question we found out was if they've actually had issue making payment of their school fees, and many of them said yes, they've had issue with 6% they have there, and 44% of them actually said they've not had issue. 60% that have had issue, many of the issues were as a result of these underlying factors: delayed payment processing from their own countries, increasing amount of foreign exchange, as well as shortage of forex from their company and from their various countries. These are incorporating their pressure on the 20-hour shift, which they then have to fall back to make ends meet. And also, we found out that on the numbers of our respondents, the majority of them have actually, their mental health have actually been impacted at points during most of their degree as a result of the many issues they face as international students, which validate the claim of fraud that African students are going through a lot and is affecting their mental well, and this needs to be addressed fast. So these are some of the interesting insights from our survey, which we have concluded. That 60% of responses of students, 60% of responses of students say that their mental health are affected at some point in the course of their degree. And the three most challenging issues faced by African international students are housing, financial constraints, and discrimination. I will soon be where these factors were actually mentioned by Nigeria to show that this problem exists and need to be addressed. And also, we have 52% of our African international students in the UK desiring support in the form of extended program, which may be our situation, accommodation, accessible student accommodation, and more discriminated opportunities. And lastly, over 75% of our African international students in the UK have also experienced paying tuition fees. This might not be said of issues arising here in the UK, but students can be supported to have more working hours. I believe we'll be able to mitigate some of this problem. So this is just a graphical illustration to represent the frequency of the issues highlighted by the students. We have high tuition, we have accommodation, we have high cost of living, underemployment, and the cost of government. Thank you. This is Africa, where I work as project associate and also an international student. Just for you to be able. Thank you.
There is an opportunity with what I can just went to get 10 minutes if there are any burning questions anyone wants to ask around that sort of the research. Then you want to ask any question around that? Please go ahead.
Thank you for the presentation. Really amazing. My quick question is that, has there been any comparison? Thank you. Has there been any comparison with white companies? Because one I know that is money is money, and then regardless of whether you're white or black, and as long as they're students, especially here, you've got to pay your tuition, and there are also other living costs. Has there been any comparison at all between white counterparts and with the black students? Thank you.
All right, thank you for the question. During the course of our research, so we came across some of the facts, but because we were starting with the responsibility to also apply African international students, so we felt there was a real need to include some of the outcomes that was noted. So part of what we found out during the course of the research for the people that are here, not just the white communities, so for people that are of British origin. So we have the disparity in terms of how much they pay and the flexibility of their payments for all students. And we saw this disparity even among the black that are of this origin, that are all students. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, because the focus of the research we are just presented is on African international students. So those that have migrated for the course of education. But even among them and their own black students, there's a lot of disparity. The amount schools charge for home students is relatively cheaper to what international students pay, and the flexibility of their own. A couple of them have access to loans, which international students don't have access to. The limited working hours don't have affects them, as well as other things. Thank you.
Thank you. And you say very important
Here running the living thing. No? Oh, please go ahead. If you want to introduce yourself, sorry.
Just a question about the participants.
All right, thank you for the question. Part of the challenges that we faced during the course of engaging students was that we needed to, okay, the first step we actually took as an organization as an active or player was that we identify stakeholders among the students. So these are leaders of students associations or groups across the various universities, which we then reach out to. At first, we just need a random survey or random emails to everybody. So we went on the internet, sourced for black organizations across the universities and set field there. a couple of them go back to us. We to be then leverage on, we have a series of meetings with them, to pitch to them about our project and why we need to delve into these as Africans. So we then have a steering committee among ourselves, involving various leaders from the universities and the children who were able to link up with all the students. And at the point where we needed to start the research, we got to them, we were able to reach out to also next time. One to, for me, I was the student of the University of Southern, I also other team members, we member of other universities. So through one-on-one, through social media, and the likes, we were able to do that. About arriving at the number, we expected more. We actually reached out to thousands. So, not all of them were able to figure out survey. And as a colleague, we had to be follow up to get the So these are some of the challenges we face. And like we pointed out, Chairman or the CEO of Africa, we have started this and we hope to continue to get more numbers so that we can have the robust information to pass over. But from the random survey that we done so far, it has validated that this problem exists, and that is the reason why we are here today. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Culture for work, I'm afraid we need to take more questions before. It is really a running. So there will be another opportunity during the panel discussion. If these will be questions, if they're ready, and before this work is done by feel free to pass it to Aki and be sure to get the useful. Yes. Thanks very much. Please bear with us. Usually you only have 2 hours window when we have event in this committee. And this is actually one of the centers committee. This is the committee you have the Prime Minister. Now, can I just go to the next agenda item on that note, which is we're going to hear for 3 students and about their personal experiences. So you got the acting, you got the microphone, you got Christiana Patterson, you got Benjamin Ujehoma. Sorry if I didn't pronounce your name correctly, and the So over to you, Christiana. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Hello, everyone, and good one to there. My name is Diana Guadalajara Capricorn, and I am an international student in my postgraduate studies at Greenwich, and today I would like to share. Alright, so I'm going to Ghana. I am an international student pursuing my postgraduate studies at the University of Greenwich. And today I would like to share some of my experiences and experiences with you as an international student here in the UK. I arrived in the UK last September, which my head filled with expectations and just like any other student around the world. And before I got here, I put my accommodation because the family member was willing to host me for my period of academic time. But however, as I began to settle in, I realized that for most of my friends, finding suitable accommodation was an urgent task, and the housing market was really competitive and financially challenging
for so many of them. So it is safe for me to say that I had a soft landing in the base of accommodation. I got my first share of challenges when it became excruciatingly taxing for me to get a job that aligned with my career goal. This seemingly unbearable challenge persisted for a long time, and after several months of perseverance, I got a job. I managed to get a job after a long while. The academic side of things, as an international student, was no less demanding. My course required me to attend classes almost every day of the week, which meant a rigorous schedule for me. It was intellectually stimulating, actually, but also quite challenging. However, I understood that this was an essential part of my academic journey, and I was determined to make the best use of it. I consider myself fortunate as an African international student in the UK, as I managed to find accommodation early and eventually secure a job. Unfortunately, many of my friends faced similar difficulties, and the journey for them was a roller coaster ride, with the odds of inability to secure decent accommodation and gainful employment, proving to be a particularly daunting journey for them. In conclusion, my time as an international student in the UK has included both trying challenges. It is a journey of growth, resilience, and adaptability, and I strive to make the most of the academic experience, however, this diverse and possible countries. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Christiana, for sharing your experience, and now move on to have been advised that basically are testing out your playing well.
Good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today to share my experience. Students in the UK. My name is Okoye. I came to the UK last year, decided to study finance and accounting at the University of Washington. I followed the University. I applied to various schools before admission to the I read online sometimes maybe last year that first plan is the cheapest way to kind of live and survive in the specifically. And exactly the reason why I chose University of Washington. Like I mentioned, I chose University of Washington because I read that one of the cheapest ways. Never occurred to me that cheapest place to live is okay. At times, what is cheap might not be. One of the challenges I faced when I got here, I was mentioned about that parents. Probably you got a software anyway, so I'll explain some of the challenges your friends because I went through. When I got to the UK, where I was paying £60 per night initially. And I actually go for them security without alarms. The intention that I wanted to get an accommodation protest one. But I couldn't get an I didn't meet with a lot of landlords and agents. They will tell me we have a reference. Okay, I can get somebody to provide that. Okay, so your reference have to be any school. And when I talk to people, they tell me, salary is not that money. I think, when the job spoke a lot of people, the same story, and I couldn't get it. I remember that time I was being flat, and the lecturer is speaking, and my mind is so well lost. It's just on this picture. The life keep facing the must be nice. So, one of the emotional I wanted to one of the reasons why I became eventually, I was able to get a temporary place to stay. And the story kept changing. At another point, it was like, can you pay 6 months rent upfront? Super the long story short, I mean, I'm not going to respect everything I'm going to do. Quite several challenges I had was the area of getting a job, like you mentioned. Well, initially I never even wanted to. My parents were just focused on this program. But I had a discussion with my mentor and he told me that in the UK, since you plan to work after experience, very important is that you're getting experience while schooling. Since you have some hours to work, so I'm just limited in those that you get experience before you finish school. Then I started looking out for jobs. I started applying. Initially, when you are making applications and they're asking you specify the visa type you have. I've done a bit of analysis in the past. I've worked in government management. I've done business analysis as well. And I've been fortunate also to customize questionnaire. So when I see that kind of question, I have an idea of why they're asking. It would be like more like a filtering mechanism. If I'm applying for a job, why do you want to know the kind of visa I have? The question you should be asking is, do you have the right to work in the UK? Yes, I have the right to work in the UK. I feel like the question, the type of visa you have, it's more like discriminatory, so to speak. And I answered that question severally. I can't tell you the number of applications I made. And to tell you that I actually get responses. Yes, I did get some few responses. Of course, you know what to do responses.
Unfortunately.
Sometimes when I get good responses, I don't as I speak to you, I'm still looking out the job. But just to summarize my experience, it's entirely different from what I expected. And I feel like African students as a whole, we are being stimulated in terms of job hunt, but being stimulated in terms of housing, and in every other part. I don't want to go into detail, but I feel like we'll get to a point where like mentioned earlier, when she was introducing her that she was the one in the UK that's followed that. I feel like very point when everybody is thank you.
Thanks very, very much for that. Thanks for sharing your experiences. One of the meetings when Africa is we do have the right for African counselors, British African counselors, and two of our colleagues, one of them was actually from London, one from London, one from outside, and outside of London, the same a few African or Nigerian students have contacted them because they need support. While within our system is very difficult when you see students, it's still important. I'm glad we're in contact with Africa. I think the best thing to do, there are various charitable organizations, advocacy organizations like Africa that supports young people, including international students. It would be good to get the, I'm sure by now, probably because the register put your email down and Africa will have that email. Maybe it's worth seeking your consent before you leave there tonight if they can be called with you. And I didn't mention this when I was introducing myself. I do have a charity as well, SLT Foundation Trust. We support young people who might not be able to support you in terms of finances, but we can hold your hands and introduce you to other organizations, charitable organizations that are able to support in particular around housing and around job funds. So please, as part of your research, try to find out which organization or charity organization are supporting international students of your people. That would be important. Thank you for that. Now moving on to the second part of tonight's agenda, science is one where God to is going to take us through a few discussions around this issue. We are running behind schedule, but I think I would like to, just for you guys in the room to know, we've got two people that can do justice. I'd like to read out a little bit about them before I call them. We've got Jennifer Obaseki. Jennifer is the partner and senior partner at Obaseki Solutions, an award-winning international degree specialized in property, immigration, commercial law, and litigation. They're based in Central America, and before established in 2005. I remember the first time I met, I've been hearing Obaseki Solutions is based in Manhattan, and I've been hearing Obaseki Solutions about their reputation. And I remember maybe it was about 10 years ago that I met Jennifer, and she introduced herself as Jennifer Obaseki. And I said, each of us said Obaseki. But I looked at that, I said, no. And it's like I've been hearing this about this organization forever, and very reputable organization. So tonight, I just pay it. Jennifer is one of the Nigerian women that do us proudly this country. Jennifer Obaseki does happen. So welcome. Jennifer is an exceptional lawyer with a strong track record in representing clients of business and human rights matters, posting over 20 years of experience who are criminal litigation, as well as advising for migration. She's also the director of the NGO Human Rights, dedicated to assisting individuals with specific immigration related needs. So please can we put our hands together for Jennifer?
Right. That was a very long introduction, but honestly, we're just a very welcoming firm that's based in East London. We also have offices in Nigeria and Hong Kong. But going through this topic, it's a really important topic. And I want to be able to sort of move on to explain that the UK immigration system changed dramatically once the UK left the EU. So in 2021, there was a great shift in the immigration policy. And as you've heard, the government of today is actually trying to reduce the number of migration. I was interviewed in relation to the comments made by Suella Braverman about the about the number of Nigerian dependents. One of the things is that the largest, well, Nigeria is the largest country, one of the largest countries in the world. So wherever we show up, we're going to show up in large numbers. That's just, Then the second thing is, other countries that are large numbers like China and India are a little bit more favorable. For example, Indian migrants, when they give birth in the UK, but the students are not, if they do not register their children within 3 months, the child becomes British. So what will the parents do? They'll just sit down and wait and then apply to stay as dependents apply to stay as carers of a British child, because the child that is born in the UK, not registered after 3 months, will not get an Indian passport, will get a British passport. So the parents need to be switched. So other factors are when we come in, we also come in legally. We tend to pay a lot of money, as you've heard. The research, by the way, excellent.
really good justification for why there should be reasonable immigration policies and legislation. But after 2021, the laws changed, and it wasn't favorable. Why us? I've already spoken about that. We have done over 6,000 cases, I'm proud to say. You'll see our name in the Supreme Court in relation to certain cases, especially around migration. Types of visas, as you know, there's lots of visas, but did you know that we're also shocking numbers of young people? So from the age of 4 years old, you can get a student visa to come to the UK. And you must be on a course for more than 4 months. The good thing about that is if you are coming or thinking of coming, or families that you have thinking of coming in, they can come in legally, a parent can come and accompany the child. And the way the UK sees it is there's 0 to 14, and there's also the student age group that's 16 to 17 before they start looking at the older age groups. Regardless, the fees are still very, very high. So you've got the 1,560 if you're staying up to 9 months is what you need to really show when you're staying in the UK. The other thing you really have to think about is the fees. Many people think about planning on coming to the UK. There's the application fee, but then also you've got to think about your maintenance fees, and as we've heard, it can cause a lot of problems. We've spoken already about the type of visas, and the good thing is I'm going to speak about the postgraduate visa because that's going to become the major attraction going into 2024. Since we know that the undergraduates now cannot bring their dependents, postgraduate will be thinking about coming, and then what does that entail? If they'll be able to bring their dependents, what do you have to think about when you're bringing your dependents? We're talking about the financial requirements. Adult students, really, because we're mainly focusing on adult students. The requirements of having the offer, obviously your CAS, the tuberculosis test, also the level of English. Now, we all come from, if you come from West Africa or Commonwealth countries, you think that your English was good enough, right? But as you know, they require to do additional English tests. We are one of the preferred providers from the Trinity College now on immigration. So we've also got, let me say, an association relationship with them, and we're one of their preferred legal advisors, so they refer people to us. But yes, you can get your university back home or any institution confirm that you are taught in English language, King's English language, but it might not be recognized. So recognition of qualification in your home country can often be a problem here in the UK. Even your recognition of speaking English, even though you were taught probably from your nursery, primary, secondary, and university abroad, which is a very unfair thing to say. And you do see that difference between students coming from Australia, Canada, New Zealand, as opposed to the treatment of students coming from Africa. Family members, yes, when you are bringing your family members, again, as I said, 2024 is going to be the game changer. Undergraduates will not be able to bring their family, only folks. And you've got to think about it. You may have dependents back home, adult dependents, your parents. What would that look like? You must show evidence of your relationship with that dependent person. If it is an adult dependent, you may need to show why they are dependent. Is it disability? Is it vulnerability? And again, you may have a challenge in doing that, especially us that have maybe compound relationships. It might be an elderly aunt who has more children. It might not be your biological parent. So you may face challenges with that kind of thing. Being careful with your financial requirements, we've gone over that. The cost of bringing the dependent relative is also going to be there. If you're in the UK, maybe you find a person to switch and become your dependent, you find it's still a staggering amount of money, over £1,000. And if you're outside the UK, 1,800. Now, do you know how much it costs to actually process an immigration application? Take a guess. I think the actual processing fee is, or the actual cost from beginning to end, it's under £200. When you think about the cost of the paperwork, the casework, or the time spent, it's not over 1,000. So you do think about how much we are really bringing in profitable revenue to the Home Office. Again, I don't need to remind you of the fees, but again, If you're applying from outside the UK, to come in, you've got the £404, 1,400, sorry, £1,048 if you're applying inside. This is for adult dependents. If you're applying from outside of the UK as an adult dependent to come and join the student, it's going to be over £3,000. Now that is a staggering amount of money, and this is another reason why we want to explain to them. It's good to do reasonable pricing, otherwise you encourage people to flout the rules. So it makes sense if somebody comes in as a visitor and then switches while they're inside the UK, we instantly save £2,000. So, but if you come to immigration lawyers like us, we will explain this is how you do things, but what it does lead to is people doing things in this roundabout way. I don't see why the government is more or less shooting itself in the foot. That's just an example, but we also have to remember that other whacking charge, the health surcharge, which is over 1,500 pounds. A million students who represent the I don't even go to the hospital. But yes, it's the cost of studying in the UK. And we have to be grateful. The UK has an amazing university. When you look at the top number of universities around the world, yes, a lot of them are based in the UK. But you do have to think wisely. Now, I'm rushing onto this section because there's a warning that I carry when it comes down to graduate qualification. Number one, when you enter a university as a PhD student, you make some revolutionary device or you find some revolutionary solution. Who owns it? Have you thought about that? Be careful where you apply to study. Sometimes the university may own it based on your talent. So if you are into tech, be careful. I've had to advise students on it. And where there's disagreement between themselves and the university, maybe they're pushed down a route of research or their research is taken from them and they're pushed down alternative routes. And so what happens to all that wonderful work they've done, they can't put their name to it. The other thing is to advise students to publish papers on what you're doing so that people know around the world that it's you that created it. Again, remember home office fee is still quite high if you're deciding to do PhD, but you will get the 3 years as opposed to the 2-year post-study work visa if you come. So there's that benefit. Okay. Sabbatical research. Now there are other routes that come to the UK that are not necessarily student labeled. So you can come in as a researcher, and that's really good. So you might be in an industry, a particular field, and come in on a sabbatical. And when you come, you might be able to switch. So don't always think student, because students come with high costs on university, but you may think about research and other programs that might be just as beneficial. And you can again really take advice on it. If at that level of your profession, PhD and research is quite niche, so you need to really think about which umbrella do I fall under? Do I stay in my country, associate with the university abroad, get them to sponsor something, or do I actually have to go in and be there as a research student? It's really worth thinking about. And if you are coming to a family dependence, think about what that also entails. The switching, again, there are some preferred nations that don't have to really show as much as other nations have to show. So Japanese, Australian, and other students have some preference when it comes down to switching their visa categories. So don't just assume you can do things with written there. Be very, very clear as to what your own eligibility is based on where you're coming from. The youth mobility scheme, that's another thing that, as I say, don't always think, do I have to come in and pay them? See, youth mobility scheme is another option that the UK has made available. You have to be between 18 and 30 years old. You have to show an amount of savings. The application fees are a lot less. So it may be more attractive to people rather than looking for university fees and tax. And you can stay in the UK for 24 months. So as I say, really another option if people can't afford these university fees. Challenges. Now, language barrier. Some people, I kind of a student that went to Scotland, she just could not understand it. And I've been to Scotland, and I also struggle understanding people. So dialect in the UK can be a challenge for people, just like your accent might be a challenge for people. Cultural adjustment, we can't underestimate that. some people come, and not just the climate, but also that, as I say, if you want to know where the party is, good food is, etc., just follow the Nigerians. Okay, so there's not, you might not have that same vibrancy when you're studying. It might be a little bit, quiet. Look for the African cultural groups within your university or in the area. There are organizations that may affiliate with your country of origin, but that cultural adjustment can also be a bit of a problem. The financial concerns, they were expressed in detail earlier. You change your mind. What if you come and you change your mind? For you, that has happened. You might come and find something that's more attractive. Just don't be quiet about it. See whether you can switch. Be vocal with your mentor and stuff. The visa application process, as I've said, is quite tasky. Homesickness, again, people underestimate mental health issues. It can be triggered by being here for a bit of isolation. Even if you're under the stress of studying, speak up. The employment gaps, once again, I'm grateful to those who spoke ahead of me. The challenges with your previous qualifications are not recognized. You can't get good jobs. Even within those 28 hours, it can be a challenge. And then the confronting discrimination. Some people have gone to certain regions, and unfortunately, discrimination have issues with regard to fear, with regard to cultural practices, issues with social services. We've also had certain allegations from students who have come under social service investigations and how they talk and how they manage their children, and limited understanding really with the UK job market. So just think about things like that. So the new immigration policy that we've looked at, the mobility one we've spoken about, there's also the global talents, the innovation founder visa, which is also quite attractive as well. But these are alternative options that you might need to think about. With regards to us, we are very happy to get inquiries. You can look at the UK British Council, which also does like online sessions for providing information. So please do look at the UK.gov website as well. And feel free to give us a call and contact the local organisations that are arranging today. Thank you.
Thanks very much. We Dr. Jennifer Obaseki and other. Thank you, Jennifer. I'm not sure if many of you did the last slide, whether you were aware of those information, whether it's due to Africa to send it out to everyone in this group today. Please do not keep quiet. There's somebody somewhere, an organization somewhere that can help rushing through times. Oh, can I welcome Meg back? I can hear you there last yesterday. Thank you very much for joining us. I will now quickly go to our last speaker before we go into a bit of interactive section, bearing in mind that time is now almost going to have passed. But just like Jennifer and Professor Chris Immaculate is not somebody that I can just call to speak without a proper introduction. Some of you, I don't know, you might have heard of those for Professor Immaculate. This introduction because of his high profile. I remember High Profile magazine described him as a multi-Guinness World Record holder and international renowned advisor to monarchs, government, presidents, corporate leader. He's a Wall Street Journal best-selling author, a Sunday Times co-op author, and a mentor to New York Times bestsellers, leading expert and media team, head of Britain Traders family, because of his children and protecting multiple world records in the UK. In 2014, Chris Imapidon was listed in the worldwide who is you of executives, professionals, and entrepreneurs. And a few months later, he was named as one of the top 100 influential leaders in the UK in the last 100 years. I'll stop there. I don't want to take much time. But can we put our hands together to welcome this prophet and this human? What was my brother?
Thank you very much, Mayor. CC, we see you as a mayor. So delighted that so many of you came because you are my future, my past. I'm so happy that, you know, God of Advocacy month, with the Kenyan Palace yesterday. And we were talking about Advocacy month. It's what it had been. CNN is trying to find out if I had the option to come back again as a human being. Will I choose black or white? And I just laughed. I said, I would choose to be African, not just black or white. I would choose my same heritage. Because you know, when I went to school, they told me I was autistic at the moment. And I came home and I told my mother, innocently, they don't you know I'm autistic, I can't learn. And if you reach out to my grandmother, and they all came like real violence. I said, don't you let anyone tell you what you can and what you can't. You may not get it right the first time, but you're going to try and try and try. And that little talk that I heard in my first few years in school has been what has driven me in every obstacle. So if you're looking for a job and you're an international student, you're best suited for the job. Ignore whatever letter you get, because you know that you know that you know that you know who you are and of who you are made. Particularly now that we have had mixed blessing of both, where every one of you here, without exception, you can stand my PR code, can get a job within the next 48 hours, sending out 500 applications every hour. Do you know who does that? Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I don't have it. Yeah, it scans it. They use AI to scan your resume. Why can't you use AI? So I'm so excited for you. I wish I could succeed again, because I never had this tool. You have to print out your CV, put in an envelope, click the envelope, and then go to the post, and then post it. That's your ID to get a job, right? You now can just sit down and get your LinkedIn optimized. Now, headhunters will come to your LinkedIn page to tell you they want to employ you. How many of you have good? How many of you have received a strange mail from somebody you've never met before, asking you something about what you do or what you can do? Say, yeah, so you got your employment. Just optimize your LinkedIn, and if you have any difficulty, just Google LinkedIn, 6-figure jobs, and my name on YouTube. You see some of the videos we shared on this. Are you one of ACS, African Caribbean Student Society, in your different universities? Please join. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. The reason why you have to join is that you have free mentorship from people that have been on your course before. So some people are 1 year ahead of you, so talk to them over there. And the way you talk to you is right. So the hashtag I have here is you, literally you are the future, and you are the genius. This conversation is how many minutes? 3 minutes. Oh, yes. Because this conversation is not going to end tonight. One week through, you can go on social media, follow me on any of my platform. I will invite you. Because I believe in an era that's so exciting. Okay, now this is what the media says about it. Don't believe anyone, because the media says that I have heroes that are made super genius, and you are not the genius. Biologically, There's no difference. Because in 1776, 4th of July, a group of people sat down and said, we hold this truth to be self-evident, that all of us are created, and each of us is a dark, dark creature. That's what became the so-called American Independence Declaration. And they said that to the King of England, saying there's equality in terms of protection. At creation, when you came out of the mother's birth canal, you have 1 million cells. And one cell alone has been proven to be able to speak 15 different languages, one cell. And one cell can pass your so-called high school. One cell, just using one cell. So if anybody told you you failed your maths, look back at them and know that they did a mistake in math because your creator has an overwritten view of you. You can't query Ford car when you're talking to Ford manufacturer. You can't go to Boeing and query their engine that fly everywhere. I'm saying these that made you a genius. That's why they said you are endowed. You don't have to be of any faith. Just to know that. So yeah, all these children you see here, all of them have already passed their high school maths. And they're either 6 or 7 years old. If you don't believe, please take a picture of that. Because I'm not here tonight to try and tell you history. I'm telling you the future. That's like I'm telling you the future. When I wrote my thesis in the 80s, and most of us are doing about this. Not in the 80s, we're saying no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. Is that racism? That's beyond racism. No Irish. Why? No blacks. No dogs. What did the dog do to you? So, if this is done accommodates our terms, what do you do? In terms of making multiple applications and breaking the entire application of the process down until you get what you want. So I just wanted all of you to get rid of that because you are here and you're going to be lost to balance most of the talent. Even if you're thinking of the very artistic goals, please don't be afraid of it because most of the tell you as this side or the subject side of the other. This is what I really love, and this is what came out during this one thing. Every one of you, then you got your letter of offer. Not before you got your class number, you have started working. Let me say this slowly. When you get a letter of admission to any university, anywhere in the world, you can start prospecting for remote jobs in the city that you're investing in. You can go straight to LinkedIn and find out which are the hard-to-fit jobs in that city. And LinkedIn will give you every single statistic about every single sector. So if you've been using social media thinking that it's Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and forwarding endless WhatsApp videos, viral videos, is that all you can do? With a tool that controls the universe? As I'm sitting here, everybody in Silicon Valley knows I'm picking down. You know why? Because I tweeted about it. You know why I was putting down on the phone. You know why? There is somebody here, or two or three people, whose father is working in Silicon Valley. If I mention their name, you probably pay for them. And the development is being done in a place called YADA. You can say, YADA, Lagos, right? Why? Because they use their self, their so-called self-worth for remote development. You don't even need a degree to be able to contribute to software development today. What you need is determination and understanding that you can reach the end. And if you learn about so-called meaningfulness and do what during COVID, I pushed it. Have you heard about TEDx talk? TEDx. Yeah. Okay. You all heard about TEDx. Listen to a video, you get excited and you stop, right? Now I want to take next step, take the edX. Because with the Wi-Fi, it just makes the person working in the heart or the person working in the big or somebody working in the side Exactly the same distance. Exactly the same. The entire, look at what we are dealing with. This is what the elephant in the room is. So we have a prime minister who is of East African ancestry. We have the leader of Scotland who is of East African ancestry. We have a king who is the son of a migrant. Yet, we, United Kingdom, have not woken up to see this fact. Can you see that? By the year 2025, we have a deficit of 100 million young men and women that should help us with cybersecurity, data analysis, cloud growth, and software development. That's not my number. We are facing a talent crisis. And you have offered to come and get your talent protection. That's what you came here. You're not international people. You're not visitors. You're not economic migrants. The giving of those people. There is evidence that if for any reason the software market in India collapses, you know the oyster card payment will work. You know your cash card will work with go to Santander. It's all remote work. And COVID made it easy. My mother is 97 years old. Attended the Zoom meeting. 97. So what explains that people oh, these meetings? It's impossible for you to use the tools of yesterday and think you're going to be able to. So what I feel is understanding the relation and know the journey you came on. Because everybody's talking about ChatGPT. You guys about ChatGPT. Okay, who uses ChatGPT? Okay, who's been using Google before traditional Google? Of course, security. I can assume our field. And I put it down on my market scale. You have to show me that you use the perplexity of AI. Or ChatGPT or Google Bard. Because we are not from this and that's what we capture. If they say they can't get a job, they can get a job. Are you afraid to learn friends? Takes you 3 working days. For German. So the linguistic barrier that I tell us was not for yesterday, it's not for tomorrow. And I'm more interested in tomorrow. Tomorrow is gone. I'm more interested in tomorrow because yesterday is gone. And today is not for you. If you don't make 3,000 pounds from yourself, that's not wrong. Because your cell phone has enough capacity to take all of us to the moon and bring us back. The computing power of NASA that sent Apollo 11 to the moon. Do you know what the computing power of NASA is? That take men to the moon? Your phone, your cell phone that you have in your hand now is 700 times more powerful. So if anybody is trying to throw immigration barrier at you, it's because you are trying to act with the whole world. The entire medical facility at Atlanta, Georgia, in the USA, is controlled by a group of students in Accra. They check the insurance. They book in the patient. The doctor doesn't follow them. So don't get us with your but so we are looking at next year. You're excited about that. Okay. So Africa has the view. This is what I think.
Hello, hi. I'm thank you so much to saying here if you know and personal children and also the staff. My question is why are African students discriminated in the United Kingdom? And so I would like to hear the answer to that. I want to but I understand that many of the students are here to come and study basic experience back home. So we really want those students to go back home and tell the story of what they face. So that's one of my questions. But I also have a comment to complement that I want to encourage all the students to be positive regardless of what you're facing. And I can tell you that let's write history and promoting our and I believe there's this
Yes. But yes. So I think what I would want you to do is to look at your advocacy. And what I'm pretending. And what I do is low. What I do. Listen, fellow mate of mine said twice, you are going for a job. You have to look for a job where you can live. Listen, I'm already brand, have one up. Okay. What will I do? You can live. Otherwise, if you do not, you will experience it. Oh, so I think I would, what I would want to take is a typical here, building you work actually. Not only that, we don't want to African ocean. Please ask someone to do it. What about people and being said? I think you're fighting for 2 quarters. Not 5.
Or do we take them to them come back at what we do already? Sorry, actually, okay, you carry on. I was going to take those 2 questions and come back to you. Please go ahead.
My name is. I just want to go to the edge. I understand everything you said, the housing, regular issues are what next after what we do, what has changed for a long time. There are improvements, and how do we ensure that all these concerns that was said to be adequately represented? Thank you.
You want to take that as
Chatting about the normal housing will be there is a bill that's introducing the Parliament this week about housing, which is making life will potentially make life a bit better for private renters. So still left in the opportunity for landlords to evict for no reason. The wider issues about the Home Office's policies on to a hostile environment, basically, the things that they are to raise. I'm not going to go away with all this stuff. It's whether Brown doubling down starts. It really plays to what the first lady wrote about discrimination. When you are in a country and you've got a government that is othering people and highlighting particularly immigrants as, and that's very loose, Fred talks about hordes of immigrants, invasions of immigrants. This is negative language, and we know what that does. Even Brexit held over, and that on the street, even on the streets of Hackney, Susan and I know there was horrible moments where people felt they were given license to vent their negative and prejudicial views. So I say stand up and be proud. Don't take it. On the other hand, you've been thinking about it, if you fight every little microaggression every day, you will be exhausted. So you have to give a pick and do what others have said, join the societies universities. We do our welfare organisations as well. So, and there are people like Jennifer make it through the war. I mean, I do that with constituents too, depending on the issue, where they have faced discrimination. But I can tell you that something about Africans generally, and I've worked with Cypriots, Irish and Chinese people, a lot of people anglicize their names. So I'm very great about your usual name. If we can pronounce Tchaikovsky, we can pronounce other people, I will be able to do it. I do think English is amazing. I speak as English, I have amazing ear, I'm lazy about listening. And I do think it's a big issue about accent. Susan and I discussed this about how sometimes people are prejudicial. People look at you and they make a judgment. You're a good man. So actually, one of the best ways you can help tackle this is be yourself, be proud, do well at university and contribute. But I'm very aware of discrimination and something that I'm very ambitious. But on there's some things around how we're expressed. Out housing, this is something we will hopefully deal with, and how we're going to deal with legal legislation on many things. Lots of things that need to take place, but the hostile environment has to go. It is not acceptable, but so a lot of recognize.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a very opening question, and it kind of mirrors the first question. So with the immigration policy, it's up to the government to design an immigration policy. They have a right to protect their borders, but the policy must be fair. As we have seen from the changes, some students come from certain parts of the world, don't have to get the visa, and just come in and switch while they're here. Other people that talk in English, their English qualifications are recognised, but from West Africa, oh, not why? It's the same language. And you know, if you've got a student from West Africa that's taught SS, level English, goes on to university and has a degree taught in English, things like that should be looked at. But once again, it's the government of the day that makes immigration policy. And as much as we can highlight the unfairness, and statistics are brilliant. Adding and contributing towards the statistics is essential to win or change things. So continuing that is really, really important. There was the element of the organisation does support students, I know, that are not just from academia, but also that are disabled. And it can be a challenge, obviously, not just racism, but definitely it's something that thank you. Do you want to add anything?
I agree with them, because I quite honestly don't believe that what disability should be applied to. You should look at where your ability lies, because I have that label on me as an autistic child, and three other people will give it the same thing. Two, pick that level up, and when not to what they want to do, other things. So your self-perception and self-belief is overcome whatever providing that they are putting in front of you. I know a gentleman called David and before you get that out into office, as he happened, go through the back. If you think because he's done, you want to take him on television, They will humiliate you. This is somebody that cannot see, comes with a guide dog. And he has a braille, he uses his braille, he picks up 14 newspapers every single day. I worked with him, and he just blew everything that I knew about this business. So please, you are who you think you are. I don't think that it is. So you are who they say you are. Because they make it. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Any other question, last round of questions? I've got two, yes, please. Okay.
I registered master's. The example is going to be members of share.
You read the qualities that are facing, let's say, their choice of which ways they are taking due to the education laws and everything that it is affecting their choice of courses they are choosing, and if so, what can we help students that want to do higher courses and are being affected by the education plan?
Thank you for the question. What are they doing differently? What are other nations doing differently? I don't know. I think they're really entering into treaties and agreements. There's possibly that element. There is a historical connection with the UK, and maybe they have a stronger relation with those countries. So maybe individual countries should negotiate better than others. There is that worry about brain drain of people with expert leaving the continent and coming to the UK. So maybe if there was negotiations bilaterally with regards to if a number of people come to the UK, maybe there's some kind of bursary that can be given once they return. So there's that encouragement for them to return back. And also maybe just as I said, stronger negotiations with regards to the historical link. That is something that we've raised and see that, okay, the whole quality in relation to from South Africa, from New Zealand, from Australia, time to be a bit more favorable one impact. When you talk about Commonwealth, I also belong to the Commonwealth Lawyers Association. It's something that I try to raise there as well, because there is sort of a desire to move towards there being common standards in Commonwealth countries. And that's something, and I mean legally as well. That means lead to a better level of quality treatment. And your question again with regard to people's choice of course. Indeed, the cost of the course does influence the choice. So somebody might want to come in and study medicine, will come in and study something else, dentistry, it of course it has a profound effect. But we can only sort of say people need to really feel authentically themselves, because they come study what they don't want to study, well, they're unhappy. You may need to rethink where you do the course. Some other European countries, the courses are a lot cheaper. But once again, the attraction of our wonderful university here is cool. You just hope, as we say, that the change will come from maybe a new government. The universities want the students. A lot of the universities also have satellite campuses. That might be another way. I know that like Vincent University, where I went, has satellite campuses in Africa and place. So that might be another option. But I'm not really sure how that can be solved.
Just for a new model of education. All right, and it's not very globally, university courses. All right. So if you do an online course, it will be very valuable, cheaper and easier way. Our grandparents did that with what they call correspondence courses. They did London, university qualification of Bafani and Wolombo, Nelson Mandela, I can name a long list of people that qualified in so-called correspondence. You have it better with your online position. So what do you?
I say on the issue about qualifications and assurance, often it's about assurance, exactly as there needs to be agreement among professional institutions. They are going to set a certain standard and they will ensure that they check that there's a standards. But the reasons I'm passionate about why I'm here tonight, because as I said at the beginning, I met too many people from particularly West African constituencies who are working with no their qualification wasn't recognised. There were other British as well. But that was the barriers. So it is that negotiation. But we're now out of the beginning standards. It has helped us. We do face a lot of work. And that's as a family, we're doing more across the projects in Scotland. Scotland to make sure that we are helping get every country to the level so that qualifications, whether school board, university board, professional qualifications are recognised. When I was first, nearly 30 years ago, challenges by people who were doctors being refugees. They have to go through so many hoops. Now, it is true that medical qualifications are slightly different in other countries, but some of the hoops that have been put through were onerous and slowed down their progress, even if they needed to re-qualify or take further qualifications. It's a very slow process. And yet, in this country, we massively need people in our NHS. So I hope that we'll see a change of tone to say, well, where we have people who are talented, let's help get them on board for services. And I think it's something like it's 1 in 10 nurses in this country is the biggest change. I mean, but our health service would fall over the bear in mind to be robbing countries that really need those health services. I think this idea actually of having bursary people that take their skills back where they came from is really important too, and a lot more cross fertilization, so that you just see people moving across being more easily. A system which rules is fair, and it's a great version. It's fair enough, but let's make those rules work.
Thanks very much to all speakers. Is there any other question? I don't want anyone to leave this very old. I want to ask the question. Bearing in mind that we're now running out of time. So can I take it that we've answered all the questions or things that we want to say tonight? I think one thing to say that in terms of the assurance, just going back to your question around what happened after today, the legal difficulties are very real. I think this comes from a place of passion, this comes from a place of wanting to change things, this comes from a place of wanting to make it different. That's why Africa done the Africa research. That's yes, that they've done that, and doing that is not about doing it to just put it on the shelf. The conversation continues, and whatever way we can lobby in terms of policies, that continues as well. So today is not the end of Africa SFT Foundation talking about international students. The whole point is how can we advocate for African international students. That's why we're here tonight, and that work will continue. So thanks very much for being here. And I'm not too sure if that was got any things to say before I ask this to Dominic.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for coming.
We're expecting 90 people. I think we've got around 45, but it is actually 50% better than 10%. And just like Susanna said, it's just the start of the discussion. We will be contacting everyone that is here today with all the slides and all to follow up. And I believe because when we started this discussion, we saw some student leaders, a few of them are here today, they thought nothing is going to come out of it. But as after that, we've done it before and we're doing it again. When we are committed to any advocacy, we actually get into the conclusion where there will be a significant change. Okay, thank you all for coming.
Thanks very much. Can we give our feedback to round of from me is thank you for being here. Thanks to my friend, MP, hobby, mentor, Dave, Becky. Want to be that my favor to Myra, we got Janet Murangi, who is the chair of Community African Network. So I'll give the proper vote of thanks to Janet. Thank you, Janet.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, and then I'm going to just say that thank you for emptying the house. Thank you so much for coming, for those who are the first day, for having to give you the identity and your continued support. Thank you for taking that. Another block for so we have for the Foundation and our speakers who Jennifer. Thank you for the presentation and highlighting everything regarding studying the UK organization. I've answered a lot of you, and I hope the students will take on board what is there, what is available for you. So big love for having you. Professor Chris, your words for the third ones. That's me. I think every student in the room who have had this lecture I'm taking, there must have been something you have learned. Actually, you have learned from him. And then I would have loved you to have gone on speaking, but obviously, thank you so much for encouraging that and for giving us the opportunity. I think you have at home with this use your voice and give them an opportunity. I want to thank as well the speakers, the gentleman who shared that research. I think there's so much information out there which you can use for future maybe conferences, and also for those who are doing this research around the same issue. Thank you for putting it together and for involving the students who needs to make that. Thank you so much. The clap for me. The experience, I mean, there's so much that we've learned, which just emphasize exactly what was in the research. You say it in the own words, a big difference than just hearing it that is happening in research. Thank you for sharing the experience. We do not report. I'd love for the students to the drama made a lot of sense. I had not explained the point and acting the message is actually highlighted. So it makes sense to the conference we have to be is part of the African network, the network that's here, in organizations. Africa is one of them, one of them is also in the land. It is also we are support for our member as well. we are running out of time, I want to thank all the other people who contributed to the questions and everything that's take. And your presence as well in the room, because they are out and feeling that we are here to support and learn and listen. I think the conference has highlighted and all the issues relating to the expectation that also Africa is there. If you need any information or any support, we are there to support you. And also the World African Party, various organizations are supporting. Don't sit in silence. They support each other in foreign land. That's the support out there, and as all the speakers said, look for the parity. So, as I said, I want to thank our chair for today, who's personal friend and somebody I work with and who keeps empowering me, and I look at my sister and maybe a mentor in a way, because she gives me the confidence that female also can have voices out there. Thank you very much. After that, and in particular in Poland, that's I think the particular thing, I didn't there. I work with Poland in other ways, I work with Poland for such an amazing platform. It has a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of I could do another thing, but this is for the debate. So putting this conference together in Black History Month, it should be as a 20th century, be also the year. I think it makes a lot of sense because these are some things that the people don't talk about. I'm not kind of the conference about African students and what is about and the challenges, and also trying to address them. And I think all the speakers are trying to look for the solution and show us the way forward. So, thank you so much for being all this. And getting a word from speakers and the many people and giving me the opportunity to do. So as we go home, she said clearly, and let this not be the last of this. When you are on the conference, come back and then you can have thank you.
Yeah.